Question of the day. What is a theme that has utterly been untouched, and when used and when tried in a game, it was just destroyed? Like the theme was just not there. Like the Indiana Jones game where you throw stuff across the room. No, it doesn't feel like Indiana Jones. Because today we're taking a look at Unconscious Mind. Now I'm going to go ahead and give you a spoiler to the end of the review. I think this is fantastically handled, this theme, how they do it, because I love Freud, and I love Adler especially. Adler's the foundation of modern counseling and modern psychotherapy and things like that. Once we got past Freud, actually, although psychotherapy comes from Freud's own term. But anyway, point being, we're taking a look at Unconscious Mind today. This is a worker placement, resource-ish management game in which you are trying to cure your clients, have the reputation to keep up with the peer and prestige of Freud himself, which is why you play as Adler and Jung and others. And then you're trying to cure your clients by working together and coming up ideas and talking about, what could this do for this person, etc. And so that's kind of how the game gets abstracted out in a Euro-style game. So let's take a look at how it plays. We'll come back up and talk final thoughts right now. All right, this is the post game of Unconscious Mind. A couple things to note that would be different than if you were starting the beginning of the game. These player color tokens would be in these sections here on your player board, and you would not have unlocked these idea tokens yet in order to use them as worker placement tokens on the board. So these will go here. You will start with these three worker placement areas. Your ink bottle goes here, which by the way, these look incredible, right here on the first space. And then you'll start with 0 heart-shaped boxes and some coffee. Coffee is kind of like a catch-all item. It can do a lot of different things. Now you have a board over here. Again, let's take these out of here and mark them. Coffee can kind of do different bonuses to tagging actions here, as well as giving you some upgrades down here when you choose to spend it. So this is your wheel of inspiration here. You've got clients over here on the right. You'll start with your client on the right will be closed off. You won't have access to this side of the board yet. But you will set your client's grief based on these thin transparent cards that would go on top of this client. So he will have 3 grief on his own, and then you will have the grief layer here of 6. So he will go to 6. You'll gain a point for that. In order to cure him, you're going to have to gain therapy points. Now the way you do that is psychoanalysis. Now I'm playing as Alfred Adler here. He was a student of Freud's. Also, he had his own model. The Adlerian theory is a much more, I like it better anyway. But you're going to use these tokens based on the dream. So case in point, we need a clover leaf here, the little chickadee there, and then a small purple. This is minor, medium, and major inspirations here. When you spin those, you'll cash in this dream. You'll gain the points on the right. You'll gain that many therapy points. So 1, 2, 3. Once we hit catharsis here, we will pull the grief layer off, score anything on the grief layer, and then you will have access to the bonuses down here. Now you don't score the points for curing the client until after you cure them. So you do get the access to their benefits, but not the cure, which is down here. So the grief layer goes back over there. If you do cure a client, and this dream will go over here, if you do cure a client, you will have to take a new client at the end of the round. Once you've done your first grief layer with your starter grief, second room becomes available. So another thing you can do on here, on your turn, one thing you can do, it says right here, you can place an idea on the idea table out here, which is you're going to play out there in the worker placement area. I'll show you in just a second. You're going to cure clients, which we just done, or you're going to pull back your workers. So let's take a look at the rest of the boards here. It's a good bit bigger out there. So the idea table here is essentially a worker placement area. In a 2-player game, the outsides are blocked. You notice the arrows will point different directions to point into a spot. So if I want to use this action, I would put this idea here and point there with 1 or 2 of the idea tokens, or what's known as a bright idea, which are these little light bulb action markers. These can be used instead of these tokens. These can be used with the tokens. You can do 1, 1 and 1, or 2 idea tokens and no of your own inspiration tokens, idea tokens. So once you place those, if they're the light bulb tokens, they will come off at the end of the round. Your other ones will stay like a worker placement game out there. You'll then take the action. Depending on the amount of tokens you put out there, you'll take it that many times. So if you put it here twice, you'll gain 2 of these cards. We'll run through what these actions do really quick, and then we'll come back to the rest of the game. So first top layer actions, you're going to spend a certain amount of coffee to gain new notebook actions, and that would be the things down here in your notebook that show different things. So when you take actions off this table, you'll notice the ink blot mark next to it. Depending on what the ink is, you're going to move your ink marker, inkwell, that many spaces. So 1, you'll then run everything in the row that you have available active. So this would be gain a minor green, spend a minor green to gain a bright idea, spend a minor green to gain a major green, and etc. So you're going to do that for no matter where your ink blot lands or inkwell lands. If it lands here, you're going to take the reputation track, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and then once you pass it the first time, you're going to pull the leftmost off the board. And then once this is off the board, you now have access to where when you land here, you can activate a column instead of a row. As you fill in the rows and columns, you'll take these player color inspiration tokens, you'll put them out here to use. That's the top layers, how you get notebooks. These are just kind of two upgrades and a transfer. When you upgrade, it can't come from the middle. It already has to be established on the minor ring. However, when you downgrade, it can come from the minor down to the middle. I know, silly, but it's part of it. Transfer means you go a layer, left to right. This would be play 2 cards from your hand of the journalist card. So we have 2 of these already. Let's just say you're going to play these to your hand and then play it from your hand into your player area. So boom, now we have those available, including the tags, including the symbols. The other option is to publish. Now you'll notice here these really cool little overlays here. You're going to have cards laid out. You'll then publish the cards into, this is the interpretation of dreams. There's id and ego. There's all of Freud's kind of famous work over there. So you're going to do that with publishing. When you publish, you get the points based on it, and then you will lose some of the tags and bonuses based on the cards, but you'll get the bonuses based on the front. Plus, you get a chance to put these out, which score at the end of the game, depending on who you have for some of your scorings. Plus, what's really cool, people can cite your books. So if they need a red card and it's your furthest right one, they can take this out and cite you. And when they do, they give you 2 points and an inspiration, or a, bright idea. That's a pretty cool little thing. Down here, you're going to do this board. Now, this board's a little tricky because it has 2 types of actions on it. One is when you're moving yourself in Freud. Essentially, when you move yourself in Freud, you're going to land and you're going to take a certain amount of actions of these up to 5 times, depending on where you are. Not the vertical ones and not these bigger ones. But these, depending on 5 times, up to the amount of tags you have, which would be the tags in your player area. So this would be 2 of the theater, 3 of the theater, 4 of the theater in this player area. So I'd be able to take this action here if I was on it 4 times, which would be things like, gain inspiration, gain coffee, trade in things for research. It's just little bonuses that you can do. Now that's the moving Freud and moving the professor, or moving yourself. So I've got, like I said, Adler. The other thing that happens out here is when you pull back your workers, you're going to take as many coffee as different color or different areas that you have. So, 1, 2, or 3 coffee, and coffee, like I said, can be spent for multiple things. You'll take the coffee, and then you can choose to place one of these tokens on one of the bonuses, depending on where you're standing or where Freud is standing. So if I go here, I would immediately gain a major fire bonus. If I'm the first one to go there, I'll go up on the reputation track. Anytime you move up on the reputation track, Freud moves up on the reputation track as well. Down here on the player board, if you land here, you're going to take the bonuses from the reputation track, which would be simply this. What you're pointing at, what Freud's pointing at. You'll get to take both bonuses. You will play until Freud's reputation passes into the stopwatch. You'll finish that round and you'll play an entire another round. Then you'll score several different things for in-game points. Specifically, though, in-game points would be your case study clients, which would be the ones with the red tag, and certain things that you've collected along the way, like the highest person on the reputation track and case study clients. Person with the most points wins the game. All right, we do a rubric system here. So, been doing this rubric system since last year, January, but we've been doing reviews for the Dice Tower since, good Lord, 2016, 17. Concept, board layout, mechanics, art direction, art, one more, gameplay and rule books. We aggregate that together to give a total score. So it's category 7 divided by 7, and then we fudge it a little bit here or there if it's really close with the percentage to how I want it to end up. Because again, at the end of the day, these reviews are subjective. They are not objective. So we're taking a look right now at Unconscious Mind. Concept, it's a 10. I'm going to give this concept a 10 because it's not done in a let's roll the dice and fight the grief points in the brain of the client to heal them. No, it's not. You're actually using psychotherapy and psychodynamic, the notion of dream therapy and free association, that comes from the table itself. to cure clients. Now, the game can play a little bit long, so sometimes it does feel like Freud's first view of how long clients can take. But at the end of it, when you start winding it down, it actually plays pretty quick once you realize how to gain those reputation points. So, concept of 10. It handles the thought, it handles the theme very well. I love that Jung and Adler and some others are in there. I love that you're getting to do this. I love that you're doing therapy, psychotherapy. I think that's a really cool thing, something I'm very interested in. So, that's a 10 for me. Board layout is an 8. It is really nice looking. I don't love how big of a table hog it is, though. It takes up a whole lot of room on the table. So if you played with 4, you'd almost have to keep the center area completely there where you could get to everything, and then you kind of keep your client boards off to the side where you could have room. So it takes a lot on the table, so just know that. But it does look good, the board layout itself, and you having your own player board and then your own office board, which is nice. Mechanics are an 8. Worker placement, you're gaining resources, instead of, collecting a certain amount of brains or a certain amount of, the symbols, the different symbols that there are. You got a dial, which I like. I like the fact that the dial can, you can shift left to right if you need to using coffee. And I love that because that's kind of how it still even works today, is supervision and things like that, and kicking out ideas. What about this? Have you thought about this? So to me, that's really cool. The mechanics are an 8. Art direction, it's a 9. Everything works really well. All the symbols make sense. They follow each other really well onto the board, and it looks seamless, like you know what to do based on a symbol. There are a couple that the first time you see them, they're going to throw you, but good news, there's an entire handy-dandy symbol player reference card, which is awesome. So art direction is a 9. Art is a 9.5. Actually, we're going to give that a 9.5. It says 9 on here. Art's a 9.5. Vincent Dutrait at his best. And I like that this is kind of a more down-to-earth theme with the people art. And I know there's another artist as well, but the art on the people look is what I'm actually most blown away by, because you actually don't see the dream cards as often as you'd like. You look at them the first time you put them out and you go, wow, that's really awesome. And the dream cards do look amazing, but the character art looks great. Everything just looks really, really good in this game, including like the top-down view of the table where everybody gathers and shares ideas, which the worker placement thing. Adler and Jung and all them, they look incredible. So just a really, really good game. And I like the balance of the Vincent Dutrait art with the screen printed meeples. It looks really great, and it doesn't take away from each other. So to me, that's really cool. The dreams, though, can we talk about that for a minute? They look incredible. It looks like you're playing Dixit with more direction, if that makes sense. They look crazy and wild and Dixity, but there's a little more flow to them. They make more sense. If you think about it, they look more like what a dream would be as opposed to some of the chaos that can come from Dixit. So that part is actually really cool. Art's a 9.5. Gameplay, 8, solid 8. It is fun. It is. It can take a little bit of time, especially if you are slow rolling getting those reputation points. If you're not doing anything to get those reputation points, it's going to drag. So once the game ramps up and you start hitting those milestone location cards, boom, 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 then it's going to go, you're going to feel like you're just dragging, and then all of a sudden, boom, we're at the end of the game. And that will happen almost every time you play, actually, because it's guaranteed to ramp those things up really quick and give Freud the points, which causes the end of the game. So gameplay's an 8. Rulebook's a 9. It's actually a really great rulebook. There are no questions I had to look up online for it, except for just the fact that I forgot that part, and what I just said about moving him up. So each time you move up the reputation track, he will move up as well. Game, just it's a really great game. Solid 9. Really like this, like the concept, like the theme. I've got the Nightmares expansion we're going to give a shot to. Just a really good looking game, a really fun looking game, just beautiful looking game too. So, and I love the theme. And I don't know if any of you know this right now, but I'm in seminary right now doing therapy and counseling and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to finishing up with that Master's Divinity with counseling and all that sort of stuff. So that's why this is very interesting to me, is because I love studying Freud, Adler, and all the other people. Jung, it's an archetype. It's an archetypal Kenosha kicker. That sounds like Home Alone. Anyway, I'm Bryan. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, X, at Dice Tower Bryan. Until next time, we'll see you.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.